Welcome to the Empowered Career Woman podcast. I am here, Kathy Tellis, and I am with my very good friend, Kathleen French. I am so excited about today's episode, you guys. Oh my gosh, I met Kathleen a few years ago, and we've been in business a long time, her and I, and we love working with so many different people. And back in the day, we were doing IT recruitment for a staffing company. And oh my gosh, when I met Kat, her energy that she brought to the table was just I loved her energy. And so we have followed each other, even though I left Arizona and now I'm in San Diego. We have followed each other on social media. And I am just so proud of all the things that she's done in her life since I left Arizona. And I just wanted to invite her to this podcast. So without further ado, Kathleen, Kat, introduce yourself to the audience. Please share a little bit about yourself and, where do you live? And tell us a little bit more about the two businesses that you have as well.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Kathy. It was the same when I met you too. I loved your positive energy and your laugh. It was very contagious, just like that. Every single time anybody said anything and you could hear your laugh down the hall, you would put a smile on everybody's faces. So good to be here. I'm Kathleen French. I have a recruiting business, the French Agency. And I've had that for, I think, 5 years now,
Yeah.
6 years. Oh my God. And then I also have a retail business. I opened a little Catalina's by the sea in Capitola, California. It's in Northern California and Santa Cruz area. And I really opened it thinking it would be like such a cute little hobby. And I did not know how much work is involved when you own a store. But I have the cutest clothes, so I get to staff and help people get dressed. I love my world. It's so much fun.
I absolutely love that. You have to share your website. You have to share all of your Instagram information at the very end. But I do love your clothes, and I have to come up there to Capitola. I have to come and visit
Girl,
you.
it is
Oh my
so much
gosh.
fun. Just so a lot of people don't know about Capitola, but they have these the Venetians. You can look them up. They're colorful. They took it from a page of Italy's book. And there's a
Gorgeous.
little charming town where you park your car, stay in an Airbnb, and you don't have to drive anywhere. You're at the beach, you're walking distance to all the close bars and restaurants, and lots of shopping. It's one of the best vacation spots that I grew up going to, just driving to, and now like it's my getaway and now I have a store. So I would love if you came. I promise anybody that comes will have the best, coziest, warm, heartfelt time in Capitola.
I love it. And right now you're at your Scottsdale home, and I
Yeah.
love that you have your Christmas tree up already. You took down the Halloween stuff and put up Christmas. I have to tell you, I was about to put my Christmas tree up this past weekend, but I was too lazy. I took all the Halloween stuff down, and I did put some Thanksgiving things, so it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit mismatched right now, but that's okay. I'm about to put
That
my
is okay.
I'm
When
all
you're
right
ready,
with
you
that.
can. You could do it whenever. And honestly, I actually didn't take this Christmas tree down. This has been up all year. And I didn't
That makes
even
me
bother putting
happy.
Halloween. I didn't do Halloween. I didn't do fall. I'm just going straight into Christmas.
That's perfect. Oh my gosh. Well, this is for my listeners. The reason why I chose Kat to come in on this first episode that I'm actually interviewing somebody, one is because Kathleen has been such an inspiration. I follow her on social and I absolutely love her story. She has gone through some challenges in life, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But what I find with her story is that she has truly persevered even through the toughest moments. And so that's the reason why I'm just so thankful that you're on this channel with me today. I know you're gonna hit home with a lot of people because I have a lot of listeners who have shared with me some of the struggles that they go through. They're career women, they're juggling family and life. Some of them have gone through some divorce, grief by losing family members. So that's kind of the topic of today is really overcoming and persevering through life. And that is truly your story, Kat. And so I'm going to start off. I know you shared that you have those two businesses. And when did you start? First off, why did you start your agency? And what was it that sparked it for you that just said, you know what, I'm going to build this up? Because there's a lot of also entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. And I mean, sometimes they wait so long to
Oh
even
yeah.
attempt to try to do
Uh-huh.
something. And so share with like the mindset that you had when you said, you know what, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to take the bull by the horn and I'm going to build up my business.
Okay. First of all, I was so scared. It's always scary to take a risk, but now that I've taken the risk, I would encourage everybody just go out and get an LLC. Inkfile.com, it does it all for you. But my accounting background took off at an early age. My dad used to own a company, Wheels and Deals, in Santa Clara on El Camino Real. So we've had quite a few business entrepreneurs on both sides of my family. Majority of my family owns their own business. So of course that's already like competition. I can't
Right.
fail.
Yeah.
Um, but I went into a staffing company with my accounting degree and wanted a new position. And before you know it, I was working for them, and I'm grateful for that time. Um, but one of the things with staffing is that you build these strong relationships with your candidates and your clients, and then you have to listen to somebody in a room and who knows where dictate pricing and what you're going to do and strategize somewhere else that has nothing, that's not on the ground. I hated that. So
Yeah.
I wanted to open up my own agency where I could work with clients and all of their hiring needs instead of just one line of business. I opened it to anything that they needed. And now, because of that, we are in 50 states. We,
Wow.
I know, I had a construction company that we did all of their office, and they kicked out two large recruiting companies and kept us during COVID, which was, I'm just so thankful that was God that did that. It was incredible to kick out two large companies, keep us in there.
Wow.
But with that being said, I think just being able to help people and have that relationship, and due to COVID, when there's budget restraints, there was so many different reasons I wanted to open up my own agency, especially because of the relationships that I built. And it's one of my favorite things, getting somebody a job, their dream job, or having a client find us and say, thank God we finally have good recruiters that listen. So it's the best on both sides.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't know that you were already in 50 states.
Mhm.
Girl,
We'll do anything. I mean, we're hustlers. We will literally work whatever job that you want in any state. We got you.
how many people do you have on your team?
We have six of us, and we
Wow.
have a couple of ride or dies. My girls, Morgan and Danielle, they just are, I think those are my heavy hitters that really just have been through some serious tough times, especially with the French agency.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful to my girls. But my whole team is really awesome, and we are really hoping to expand in 2025.
Great. I am so excited for you about that. My
Thank
goodness.
you.
It's a tough world, right? Where you're competing against bigger companies and
Oh, yeah.
had to have been something that you did that kept these companies working with you versus those two large major corporations. Talk about that relationship building that you need to have when you own your own business.
It is the consistency for one. Um, Such as that client relationship. It took me a year and a half to get in there. And then I came in at the right time when they were frustrated. They always had three of the large agencies with them. They kicked one out and let us in there. And it was because of the fact that we had follow up. We were consistent every single time. We would tell them when we saw red flags, and it was communication. Honestly, with every job, you should go out and be that best person. No matter what it is, you got to be your number one. And if it's going to be your business, you have to be the best business. So you got to look at your competitors, see what they're doing, and see what you like about those competitors and listen to what people don't like.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a staffing agency, it doesn't have to be retail. It's whatever your business is, you want to stand out. So
Oh,
how do you make yourself stand out? Ours was the communication piece, and we're dependable, we're reliable, and we send quality over quantity.
I love that. I love how you're always helping people. And,
Mhm.
we're talking about empowered career women here. And here you are in the midst of building your agency. And then you open up a storefront on top of all of
Uh, that was crazy. I also think that was God putting me over there.
and
That
in
was,
a different state altogether, by the way.
I know. I love a challenge. I'm all about it.
What did you I mean, how did you go from like, okay, I am going to my gosh, I'm telling you, talking about inspiration, woman. I mean, building up your agency and then opening up a storefront. I knew you always loved clothes. I know that. I mean, that is for a fact. What was it that sparked you to like open up a storefront?
It really started with a single mom, or I'm sorry, another mother asking if we could just kind of partner together and build a retail. And I was like, absolutely, I'll do the back end, I'll do the buying. I've got the marketing, I have everything covered. I just can't be at the store. And she was like, no problem. In the middle of me buying and getting everything taken care of, she backed out.
Oh,
Then somebody asked me to open in Capitola. And by the way, just a backstory, I'm from the Bay Area. So I am lived in Los Gatos and Santa Clara my whole life. And so going over the hill and to Santa Cruz, Capitola, that was just like perfect. I even had a boyfriend in Santa Cruz at one time. I was always driving over that 17 to get to that beach. You just needed the weather. Like
yeah,
I don't care what time of day, what kind of weather it was. I loved watching the ocean.
I love that.
So I always went to Capitola to visit. And before you know it, I would tell my family, you know what? Instead of me coming to try and see everybody, just see me in Capitola. And I had somebody ask if I would open a business out there whenever all we had been saying for years that I would do that. So it's like you just put it out there, speak it into existence. I truly believe that. And somebody asked me to go in on a lease with them, and they back out.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, that's, it just continues. But I'm like, okay, well, I just roll with the punches. And I think that's one thing that I'm really good about through life, knowing how to compartmentalize your feelings
Yeah.
and just being able to like, okay, well, I don't have time for that right now. And there's nothing I can do but take on this lease. I've already signed. So let me just take this whole crazy new business that I'm going to do. And now I have to rethink it again. This is the third time. And luckily, I had a lot of locals coming in to tell me what they wanted.
Yeah.
And now I have a women and children's clothing store with some men pieces that
I
matches for the kiddos.
love it.
Hmm.
I
I love it.
absolutely love that.
I do
Oh
too. I
my
have a new
gosh.
wardrobe all the time. It is a problem, but I always have something cute to wear.
So
I'm
great.
gonna send you an outfit so that way you can have something in
Oh,
Catalina.
and I will rock it
Yes,
for you
please,
and yours.
girl. Yes, honey.
I love that. So, you know, as all these listeners are hearing all of this, I mean, you are such a um, like I said, just a motivation and such an inspiration. And how you overcome some things is just like people backing out. This is just business. That's
Oh
just
yeah,
business, right?
every
And
day.
you have to have really thick skin as you're opening up your business and really pushing through it. But on top of all of that, you even went through a divorce.
Mhm.
And boy, that just takes the wind out of you on with everything that you've gone through with your career, you're building your businesses, and then you have that. Tell us a little bit about, first off, I know you and I had talked about this. You kind of had some signs early on or in the middle of
Yeah.
your marriage, and that's when you had decided, okay, you know what, I think I need to be out of this. And it was probably very, very hard for you, but will you talk about that and kind of
Of
walk us through
course.
that? Yeah.
So I was single for a long time after my baby daddy. And when I met this gentleman, he just was, corporate background, traveled, very business oriented, and I thought that I was doing the right thing by getting in a relationship. And honestly, he was, so charming. Did I was love bombed. And
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, girls and men, if you're listening, I love being love bombed. It's a problem. Like as soon as I'm love bombed, I'm like, what? Okay.
Tell
Um,
us what love bomb is. I know what it is,
love
but for
bomb.
those other listeners.
When somebody comes and tells you and gives you everything of your dreams, like anything, like just acts of service beyond and just gifts for no reason, but doing that specifically to get somebody's attention, so that way you kind of get hooked on that love bombing.
Yeah.
And then the crash comes later. So I basically married an alcoholic. I knew he was an alcoholic. I'd never seen anything that bad before. But I come from a background with alcoholism and drug use. So, in my mind, I just figured that this is normal and you just go through this. But what I have realized since I haven't been with him for a year, it's been a little over a year actually. I don't need to be yelled at every single day. And I
Oh,
don't have to deal with somebody's dark side. And if there's somebody living in somebody else's dark world, ask yourself, why would you do that to you? I wish that I just didn't know
yeah.
what I was dealing with. Watching somebody drink Listerine and vanilla
Oh,
and, just that struggle was so difficult. But I wasn't the one that wanted the divorce.
yeah.
It was him.
I see.
I, for the last year, have been being love bombed. He was sending me all kinds of gifts, and he was supposed to come to Capitola with me and spend the summer, and he didn't. But in the meantime, those gifts were coming, and I had some friends saying he's cheating on you, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's like so good to me. We just went on a family vacation with his family.
Wow.
I mean, the list keeps going, but I received a call one day from rehab, and I hadn't heard from him. And he had given me a call screaming at me that he wanted a divorce, that he couldn't do this anymore. And I'm like, do what? What? Like, I'm over here busting my ass working,
Yeah.
owning two businesses. What are you doing? Like, I get it, you're working, but it was really difficult. And one thing I will say is I learned so much from him, and I'm thankful, just like I am thankful for that big staffing company,
Mm,
but there's pros and cons, and I'm sure that he would say the same about me.
yeah.
I think our paths crossed for a reason. He actually encouraged me to open the French agency.
Oh,
And
wow.
I am so thankful for pieces of our relationship, but
Sure.
I will never, ever put myself last ever again anymore. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It took me 42 years for me to realize that I am a catch, that I am worth more than I ever dreamed of. And I'm so sad that I didn't know that before. And then I would put myself in relationships with men where they have a dark side, and I would just deal with it, thinking that's what I'm supposed to do because that's how I was raised. No, I don't have to do that. I don't have to be in abusive relationships. I don't have to be with somebody that's struggling with strippers and porn and alcohol. I will never, if somebody, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to play games anymore. When I'm dating, I'm being super honest about what I expect. And
Yeah.
if you're going to be a cheater, bye. See you later. I don't need it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that what a revelation that is. Because I know there's some listeners out there who sometimes battle with this and they quietly they don't say anything. They know it.
I was very quiet.
They've
Yeah.
seen it. They see the signs, but they're maybe afraid of,
Yeah.
you know, what's going to happen if I leave that relationship and, or the relationship is over, right?
Or
Because
being alone. Like,
being
what about my
alone.
bills? We're married. What about our finances? What if he pays for everything? What
Yeah.
if I pay for everything? There's just so many what ifs.
Yeah.
And I've always looked back in every relationship knowing I shouldn't put up with it, but I make excuses every time. We all do.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to see people make excuses anymore. If we really look at it, everybody I talk to, half of our friends or family or people that we know are going through it, whether it's terminal illness, a death, divorce, struggling with finances, not having a job, unemployment, whatever it is. I'm looking at people, half of us saying, okay, we got to make a change.
Yeah.
The way I'm living is not working, so I need to make changes and I want to better myself. The other half is playing victim and saying, why me? And
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you why me doesn't, nobody cares. Nobody's there to pick you up.
That's right.
Nobody else is going to like, sweep any of this up under the rug for you. We have to do it ourselves. We have ourselves to pick ourselves up. We would do it for a friend. Why don't we do it for ourselves?
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I think what I loved about when you and I had spoken earlier, you were talking about how your son was such a driving motivator for you. And it was almost like your why. Kind of, can you speak about that? Because I know a lot of people who are my listeners. One of the first things that I always say is, do something because you have to know what your why is. Like, don't just
Yeah.
do it because of whatever, you're just doing it, but you need to know what that why is. And so talk about that and talk about how you put that as your center, as your driving force.
I actually put God as my driving force.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
And God has been, I've started reading the Bible and actually statistically proven if you're reading and slash praying 4 days or more, you have 70% less of a chance than having issues that you might be having. Whether it's alcohol, for me, I pray to relieve myself of any temptation of alcohol, and I haven't had a drop since January 1st. So that way I can
Oh
be
gosh, yes.
sober
Yeah.
going through this divorce. So the prayers were so powerful. And then my son Jackson, he's the love of my life.
Yeah.
I just, besides God, he is everything to me. So when you have a kid, I just, and of course, him and his father, both of us aren't together. So I just want to do the best that I can, showing him since I grew up while I was raising him,
Yeah.
how to handle yourself through a divorce and everything that I've been going through. I think, I know you're probably going to get to this, but once my mom killed herself, I think, I just drank myself into oblivion, didn't really focus on what happened with my mom.
Yeah.
And that was probably a year and then going through this divorce and I'm looking up like, I don't, I don't want to be that other half that's not working on themselves. I
Yeah.
want to spend my other half of my life being the best friend, the best sister, the best daughter, the best mother, the best role model, the best person that God brought me here to be. And no matter how much I'm struggling, I think about God and every person that He put in that Bible. They were struggling, but they had the world after.
Yeah.
And God always has so many doors opening for us. So I think with my son and God being a huge motivator for me, I think that helps tremendously to just have, like you said, having a purpose.
Hmm.
It's better. Like when you're depressed and you can't find a reason to get out of bed, well, get a reason. And if
Yeah.
it's not going to be for you, it's got to be for someone else. And if it's not going to be for someone, maybe it's your job. Maybe it's a responsibility that you are supposed to meant to be taken care of. don't fall back on your responsibility. No matter how upsetting your world is, if you persevere and push through, my God, this is my second dream house. I could potentially walk away, but this house is way better than my first dream house. And I didn't let my first breakup crumble me. I
Yep.
sure as hell worked my ass off to prove to my son that I did not need my baby daddy's child support ever and that I would do it by myself. And I sure did.
That's
And
right.
so I already know through this divorce and everything that I'm struggling with now, I've already seen it happen.
Yeah.
And I promise if you put prayer first and God, oh my God, he changes. He changes the world. He's changed the French agency. I know he's putting his miracles through Catalina's, and I really feel like even just you calling and reaching out during this time was God as well.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, don't you feel like this is a God thing right now, Kat?
Yeah.
It was just, yeah, so good. So good.
Yeah.
I don't want to, first and foremost, I am so sorry about your mom. And I know you
Thank
brought it
you.
up briefly. Um, and for obviously all of my listeners out there, anyone who is struggling or battling with any type of mental health, please make sure you get that help that you need. I am going to drop some numbers and websites available for you guys, and make sure that whenever you feel that you are at your wits' end, know that
Yeah.
you are not alone
No.
100%. But that was another thing that was like a few years ago, right? Kat, like maybe
Yeah.
3 years ago,
Almost 3 years ago.
as you were building your businesses and going through whatever life challenges, and then you find out that mom is no longer here because you know she committed suicide, and
Yeah.
that is such a big shocker. How did you overcome that amongst everything? Did you have a community of people that, were with you to help support you and whatnot?
I feel like suicide's very lonely.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody really, I mean, I think I learned more about some suicide from people coming up and saying, my father committed suicide or my brother committed suicide. So, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I try to talk about it a little bit more because, even as December 28th looms ahead, it is very weighing.
Yeah.
It is so hard to know that while we're all going to go celebrate the holidays, my mom's anniversary of her shooting herself in the
Mm,
head
good grief.
is that is horrible.
Yeah.
And, of course I have multiple different feelings for her and what had happened. I hope that somebody listens to this and knows that that's not the way out. It never is the way. There's always someone you can call. And if you can't call somebody that you trust in your own life, there's at least hotlines that you can call. And if so, if not, call me. Like I would rather get a call or somebody find me on a social media because since I've opened up, people have come to me and it breaks my heart that anybody would get to where they think that they have to end their life. And I feel like I felt that several times during this divorce, during having to think about my mom,
Yeah.
during just like sometimes it's just like how much more can fall on my shoulders.
Right.
Like I've already done enough, God. How can you keep bringing me like what else? Every day it was something.
Right.
But instead of I'd try to change that around. It was really difficult. And before you know it, I would pray and say all that to God, and my mind would start changing. And I just tried to turn every day into a positive day, even when I had no desire to get out of bed
I love it.
or even shower. Oh,
I
God,
know.
brush my teeth, nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
But you
it's
pick
hard.
yourself up, that is the part that is so inspiring, especially for all my listeners. Honestly, your story will resonate with not just a handful of people. Your story will resonate with so many women that listen to this podcast because um again, I we've been there where we've struggled with whatever, like whether it's been grief or your own personal self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
Or even, like we were talking about, divorce and all that. I mean, one of my best friends, I found out this recently, this is about a couple months ago, that she's battling breast cancer. I know your sister also
Yeah.
too, right? And it's like
Hmm.
all of these things that can overwhelm a person. It can be so hard to do, to overcome. And I love that you shared prayer has been one of your most important things that have gotten you through the toughest times. Um, if you could share like maybe one or two advice with your younger self, what would that advice be?
As much love as I give to everybody else, I should love myself too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
realize I am such a better friend and person to everyone, but then when it comes to me, ugh, I say the worst stuff to myself, and I would never talk like that to a friend.
yeah,
So this year I've been working on it.
yeah,
Um, and to just always have God in your forefront. I think when you're going through stuff, it is lonely. And people are still out living their lives, going to baby showers, going on cruises, having birthday parties. And, some of us are like on the struggle bus and
yeah,
we don't want to go, or we have anxiety to even meet a group of people that are happy.
yeah,
And why would we want to bring our funk over there? Or can we even get over our funk to have a good time?
yeah.
I think I think one of the biggest things that we all need to remember is all of us have trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah,
Everybody has something. Nobody is alone. There's so many people that have been raped, molested, abused,
oh yeah,
assaulted, a drinking problem, a drug problem, death. Like we all are struggling in one way of our lives.
yeah.
Sometimes we're in our highs, sometimes we're in our lows. And I think what I want to do is look through Jesus's lens, even when I can't stand somebody, and try to think, what would Jesus do? And remember that sometimes people react a type of way because they're going through hell
Mm-hmm.
and you just triggered them somehow.
Yeah.
So I am just trying to be kind to everybody that I see. And if you know me, some people just get on my last nerve or say stuff where I'm like, I have the best remarks back, but I keep my smart ass comments to myself now.
I love
It's
it.
incredible.
But I did love
I
your
try
smart
very
ass
hard.
comments before.
Well, I mean, they're still there for the people that know me, but if they don't, I try to keep it to a minimum so that way, I'm not constantly handing out shock values to poor people that don't know me.
You have just brought so much value. I think, first off, I love you. Thank
I
you.
love you,
Thank you.
girl.
Thank you for joining me on this podcast. Um, you're such an inspiration, Kat, and continue being who you are and sharing your story. I absolutely love this. For those of you guys who, all my listeners, how can they get in contact with you? What is your website? I can put it down in my notes when
Oh,
we
yeah.
put everything down. I'll share your website, your IG, and your Insta. I mean your
That would be great.
yeah, TikTok or Facebook. But do you want to shout out to your
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm Catalina's by the Sea with a K on Instagram, or just Catalina's
perfect.
Boutique.com, because then you could find everything from there for Catalina's. And then the French agency is frenchagency.biz, B-I-Z. So if you're looking for a job, or if you're hiring, or if you're just, wanting to kind of understand the recruiting life, feel free to send me a message.
She's one of the best, you guys. So if you guys
Thank
need the
you.
help, Kat is there to help you. Oh my gosh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so valuable for me. You have no idea. I appreciate you for joining this. And I know it's going to impact so many. You've already impacted my life for so many years, but just in this short amount of time that we've been on together, um, you've made an impact. I love you, girl.
I
And
love you too.
and
Thank
so,
you.
anyways, with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful, empowered career woman day. And listen up. If you guys want to get a hold of Kat, go down to the show notes, find her information, tag her, follow her, and all of that good stuff. So I'm excited, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Bye, girl. Thank you.
Bye.